Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Corey of Coriander Quilts. If you're new here, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. And if you have been watching for a little while, welcome back. Today is one of our works in progress update videos. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, what we do is last month I shared a little bit about what I would like to get done, not work-related projects. These are just for fun projects. So I shared a couple things that I wanted to get done, and then I check back in about a month later and we see if things got done, what did, what didn't. And then at the same time, many of you leave comments below this video in the description. Oh, not in the description, in the comments. You leave comments in the comment part of the video about things that you might want to get done, and then you follow up with me the next month and let me know what got done and then what you want to work on in the upcoming month. And I think this is a lot of fun. I know it helps me be accountable for getting some things done I would like to get done, because I know I'm going to be reporting into all of you. And I hope that you are finding it the same way, that, oh my goodness, there's another video coming soon. Did I get done what I wanted to? And maybe that helps you get some things done. And there's no pressure. We don't have to get these things done, but sometimes just having it in the back of our head or written down somewhere helps me at least know that, oh, okay, I've got a little bit of time. Let's see what I can check off that list. So this one I cut really close to the wire. I am filming this. Today is Monday, September 19th, and my Mondays are always very busy. After the weekend, I know that I'm going to have a lot of shipping to do Monday mornings, and I am also oftentimes getting caught up on my email messages that I've received over the weekend. So Mondays tend to be one of the busiest days of the week for me, and today was no exception. I spent the morning doing shipping. I had a lot of larger orders I needed to get out, and then I thought after lunch I would get some of my Etsy shop orders out, and then I still hadn't done the block that I wanted to get done that I mentioned in the last video. I hadn't had that done yet today, and so I thought, well, after I get those orders checked off my list, then I will work on that block. We will film the video and everything will be completed. Well, I was sitting down for lunch and my mother-in-law called me, and she's not able to get around very well right now, and she had some errands that she really wanted to check off her list today, and so she asked if I couldn't help her out a little bit today. So I did that, and I was happy to do that, but that took about an hour out of my day that I hadn't planned on losing. So I got back home from helping her out, and I still had to do all of those Etsy orders, and my block still was not done. But I thought, well, I'm just gonna do what I can, and if I just have to show you bits and pieces of my block, I can do that. So I started working on it. I'm gonna hold it up. I did get it done. So spoiler alert, the block is done. This is the block, I think it's the 8th block from my A Very Coriander Christmas book. And you've seen me talk about these blocks in previous videos. If you've missed those, I'm gonna link to the Works in Progress playlist down below so that you can catch those videos and get caught up if you want to. But as I was starting, I'm holding this back up again so I can talk about that green gingham fabric. As I was starting to cut out this fabric, all of the fabrics for the block, I could not find my green gingham fabric, and I never did find it. I should have a couple yards of it hanging around somewhere. As far as I know, I don't remember using all of that fabric up, so I am not sure where my green gingham fabric is. All of the rest of my apricot and ash fabrics are tucked on my shelf, still all together in that collection. I will oftentimes leave my fabrics together as a collection, and then slowly they'll get interspersed onto my shelves. You can't see them behind me, but there are fabrics behind me there arranged by color. So my apricot and ash is still all together. So that's where the green gingham should have been, and it wasn't there. It wasn't with my greens. It didn't get mixed in with my hollyberry fabrics. So I really have no idea what happened to my green gingham. But I did find enough scraps of it. I'm making these blocks mostly from scraps, and I did locate enough scraps that I was able to cut what I needed, but I wasn't sure I was gonna have enough, and I was gonna have to come up with game plan number 2. Luckily, I think I'm okay for a little bit, but I might have to search down some more green gingham if I can. So another peek at that one. That block is done. And then the other thing that was on my checklist from last month was to send out that hymn quilt that you saw me working on earlier. And that was included in with the shipping I was sending out this morning. So I got that shipped off to my quilter, and I think that's going to turn out just beautifully. So I will keep you updated on that when it comes back. I did opt to send binding fabric along, so it's going to come back and it's going to be completely done. Quilted, bound, and that is the best kind of quilty mail to open up because you get it, you open it, and it's ready to enjoy. I ended up backing that one with a minky cuddle type fabric, and I think that's gonna be such a nice quilt. So I'm excited to show that one to you when it comes back. Those were the 2 things that I wanted to get done on my to-do list. So just in the nick of time, I got those done today. The block I finished probably about an hour before we started filming this video. So it was getting cut close. These blocks do take a little bit of time to piece, so I really wasn't sure if I was gonna get it done in time or not. So I'm excited to check that one off. Now, for next month, I've been throwing around some ideas of what I want to get done. And so what I've kind of pulled, I could make another block from this book. I have 4 more left to go, and then I can start working on the sashing for that quilt. So that's kind of a, maybe if I feel like it, I might make another one of those blocks. And then I pulled 2 quilts behind me here. These 2 quilts are both smaller quilts, and they both just need binding. Neither one of them has binding, and they've been just sort of waiting to get bound. And I don't exactly mind machine binding. It's just always so far down on my to-do list that it just sometimes doesn't get checked off. So these 2 quilts are both string type quilts, so I thought they kind of went together. If I was doing a works in progress theme video, this would be the strings video, I guess you could call it. This one over here, I'm going to link to a free tutorial to make this quilt. It was made using my prairie fabrics, and my mom and I worked on that one together. So I think it's so fun. The tutorial explains how to lay out and what sizes to cut your strips to have that pattern effect. We've seen string quilts before. I'm sure many of us have. And oftentimes they're super scrappy and lots of different sizes and maybe not as planned out. I really enjoyed making this one because it was more of a planned approach to the strings. You had to cut things just so and put them together just so to create that pattern, but it was well worth it. I think that turned out so pretty. So those are prairie fabrics, long out of print, but just a really neat one because it was my first fabric line and my mom and I worked on that one together. So I'll link to that tutorial down below if you want to try making one of those for yourself. It's a fun quilt to make. If you've not made a string quilt, they are a lot of fun to make. So that one just needs binding. And then this little guy over here, another kind of version of a string quilt. This star block is one that I have on my blog, so I will link to the star block as well. These were blocks that I received back in a quilting bee that I was in a number of years ago. I made a couple of them myself. This one up here I know I made, and I'm not sure if you can see this guy over here, but that was one that I made as well. And it was fun getting those back. This was a scrap quilting bee that I was in, so everybody was just working from their own scraps that they had of their own fabrics, and we would just specify what colors we wanted our blocks. So that was fun. It's just scrappy and delightful. I love a good scrap quilt. So that one just needs binding as well. So they won't be too hard to get done. It's not going to take a lot of time. I do have a busy time frame coming up here, so we'll see what happens. There are some really neat quilt-alongs that I really want to participate into. Of course, the Oh Happy Day sampler quilt-along kicks off here in just a few days, depending on when you're watching this video. So that is going to be a fun one. And then next month in October, we're going to be kicking off, Fat Quarter Shop is kicking off the Socialites quilt along. And so that's another one that I think would be really fun to participate in. So I've got those kind of tucked back in the back of my head. Those aren't Work-related projects, those are, well, I guess the Oh Happy Day one kind of is, but they're just so fun that I don't really view them as work-related. So I've got those going on. Are any of you participating in the socialites? I know I've seen a lot of you commenting about participating in the Oh Happy Day Sew Along. I'm going to link to both of those below, so if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you will have information if you want to quilt along with us for those quilt alongs. But yeah, are any of you participating in the socialites one? That's the one I was wondering if you were going to be doing, because that would be fun to join in with you guys on that one too. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about too is over the weekend, I had a comment come in on my jelly roll roundup video that I just shared. And someone was asking specifically about small quilts. And I thought, well, I've got 2 small quilts here, so I can touch on this because maybe this is something that you've thought about and wondered yourself. I thought it was a really nice question. It came from Lynn Scroggins, and she said she mostly makes larger sized quilts for her bed. And she wondered, what do people do with small quilts? And maybe that's something you wondered about as well. I know we oftentimes will think about the bed-sized quilts or maybe quilts for a baby. Those would be smaller, but still oftentimes maybe a crib quilt or something used in a bedroom. But you may see patterns, like I've got 2 of them right back behind me here that are small quilts, but not necessarily intended to be used as a bed quilt. So what are we using them for? And I had a few things off the top of my head that I like to use my small quilts for. I like using them on our couches for sure, especially if they're backed with minky or cuddle type fabric. Those just end up on our couches, and we like those to be a little bit smaller. So that was one of the first things I thought of. And then oftentimes if we are using blankets for like a picnic, that is something that tends to be, at least for us, a little bit smaller than a bed-sized quilt. And then another nice thing is having those blankets tucked in your vehicle. If you live in a colder climate, for sure. Maybe if you're a warm weather person, you don't think about this, but it's really nice to have those blankets tucked in your vehicle for just if it's cold when you get out to your vehicle, or if you'd happen to get stranded somewhere when it's cold. It's always nice to be prepared. So having a smaller quilt tucked in your vehicle is nice. And then I think those were the main items that I knew that our family would use the small quilts for. But then someone else chimed in and had a few more suggestions. And I bet some of you even have other ways you like to use small quilts, but wall hangings are another use for small quilts, or table toppers. Sometimes the same patterns that you might use for a table topper is easily used for a wall hanging, or vice versa. And then even smaller quilted projects, which I hadn't even been thinking about the super small projects, but then you get into placemats or table runners or mug rugs, or all of those cute little small projects that we like to make as well. If you have other ways that you like using small projects, feel free to chime in down below. I always think it's so helpful for people to kind of think about using quilts in ways that maybe we haven't thought about before, or just being really practical with the way that we are utilizing the quilts that we have in our home. That was just something I wanted to mention in addition to this works in progress video, because I thought that was such a great question, and I wanted to chat about that a little bit more, especially since I've got 2 of them right back here behind me. So I think that is my roundup for today. So I guess to wrap up, maybe bind these 2 quilts, maybe make another block, participate in the sew-alongs, the Oh Happy Day sew-along. I'm participating in that one, so I'll be doing that. And then, boy, I'd really like to find time to do some of those socialites blocks, because that is going to be so fun. And that's going to run for quite a while. So I'd really like to jump in right from the start. So let me know what you would like to get done in the upcoming month. Are you doing the sew-alongs? What did you get done over the last month? And what would you like to get done in the upcoming month? And this doesn't have to be quilty. Maybe you've got some other to-do list items. I think it's always encouraging to hear what people are getting done. And it can be just as encouraging to hear what people are not getting done. Sometimes that's nice just to feel like, okay, boy, I had a lot going on and I didn't get my crafty goals done. It's okay. There's no pressure. We're just all sewing together and having fun. So thank you so much for stopping by. I will be back very soon, and I would love to have you back again. Have a wonderful day. You guys, the green gingham. We just finished recording that video and my husband is sitting like right behind me, so on the other side of the camera. And he pointed back in the corner, like he could see something that I couldn't see. And he's like, is that what you were looking for? And there it was, just folded up, waiting right over there. See, I knew I had several yards of this. This is exactly what I was looking for. So it was tucked back in the corner. Usually this ladder that you see right here is over against, we have a wall just out of sight for you guys, but usually the ladder is tucked over there, and I didn't move the ladder to see what was behind back there. And there it was. So if you watch to the end of this video, you are getting the happy news that the green gingham has been found, and now I am all set for the rest of my blocks, which makes me very happy. So thank you, hubby. He won't say you're welcome back because he doesn't want his voice on camera, but he got a thank you. And I've got the fabric. All right, so that now is the end of the video. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.